Hey everybody, Mark Agnesi here for Gibson TV. Today, I'm in Los Angeles, California, on my way to see my friend and my childhood guitar icon, Kirk Hammett. Now, for over 40 years, Kirk's been holding down lead guitar duties in the one and only Metallica, and he's inspired generations of players to pick up a guitar and learn to shred. And with over 125 million albums sold and sold out stadium tours all over the globe for the last 30 years, you can bet Kirk's guitar collection is fit for rock royalty. Today, we're going to take a look at a few of the highlights. What you're about to see may shock you. This is the collection, Kirk Hammett. Kirk, we're finally here, man. Thank you for sitting down.
Finally, Mark.
I've been talking about this for a while. I've got so much stuff I want to talk to you about. But before we get into everything, we just got to go all the way back. So when you were growing up, is there any sort of memory in your mind that is the first memory you have of noticing the guitar and going, I gotta do that?
Well, there are two incidences, and it's funny because, you know, there's the one incident that I talk about a lot, and what that was like one of the first songs that stuck in my head as a kid. I had been maybe 4 or 5 years old. Was "Baby, You Can Drive My Car," you know?
Yeah.
Yes, I'm gonna be this, you know. I remember I was playing with my cousin at one point, and he jumped on top of a table. We were just like, you know, out in the yard. He jumped up on top of the table and started like playing air guitar. And he's going, bow, 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 and started playing that song. And I remember looking at him and laughing, thinking, wow, he looks so cool. And I jumped up on the table and joined him, right? And then second time, I had to have been about maybe 7 or so. My grandmother got me a toy Monkees guitar.
Nice.
You know, TV show The Monkees. And it was this like metal and plastic thing. And, you know, you weren't really supposed to play it. But I remember I used to drag it around with me every single room in the house, you know, outside, and just pretend that I was playing it until it literally fell apart, you know. But I loved that little Monkees guitar. And it's funny because I just remembered that like last week. I was like, oh my God, I had a Monkees guitar, and I used to carry it everywhere with me when I was a kid. A couple years later, you know, I have an older brother. He's 11 years older than me. One day he came back from school and he had a black case. And like him and my cousins, who were also older than me, they were just around this black case. And then he opened it up, and I remember walking around looking in, and it was a red SG. This had to have been maybe 68 or 69. I was transfixed. Not the guitar, it was the case. I'd never seen anything with carpet inside like that.
Yeah.
And then I remember opening up the compartment and seeing the strap, and then my brother goes, oh, that's where it is. And then the next day I remember seeing the guitar on the floor. My brother was out of the house doing something. I remember sneaking over, picking up the SG, putting it on, figuring out how to plug it into some blackface fender, hitting the switch, you know, red light, orange light would come on. And I remember hitting that one note, but it was so loud, or at least so loud to me, that I got instantly scared. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to get in trouble. And I put it all away again. But it was thrilling, you know? I remember like putting it on and thinking, wow, I feel different, you know? And then it wasn't really until I was like 13 or 14 years old that I started like getting into rock music. About a year ago, I realized that I hadn't really heard rock music in the traditional sense. So I was like 12 or 13 years old. So my parents were constantly playing classical music, opera, jazz, bossa nova. You know, my brother had rock albums, so he'd put them on, play a song here, you know, take it off, put on, you know, McCoy Tyner album, play that, take it off, put on Tito Puente album, then put on Grateful Dead. So there's always like a lot of music, but I was never fed a steady diet of rock and roll until I was about 13 or 14 years old. And I moved out of San Francisco. All of a sudden I was in a public school rather than a Catholic school. I saw all these kids with like, they're talking about, 3 bands, Led Zeppelin, Pink Floyd, and Jethro Tull. And I kept on thinking, who are those people? And, I did my own research and found out, oh, these are bands. And then I saw a picture of Kiss. I was like, wow, these guys are cool. So I bought the first Kiss live album, and I realized, wow, there's a whole type of there's a whole genre of rock music that I wasn't even aware of. And that, that led me to learn about bands like Led Zeppelin and Jimi Hendrix, Stones, Cream, whatnot. Later on, Thin Lizzy, Leonard Skinner, Scorpions, UFO, Motorhead. It's interesting because like a lot of people I do talk to, they've been around rock music, pretty much from the very beginning, and I always felt like I was too, but that wasn't really the case for me. Yeah. Which kind of explains why I have a pretty wide musical palette. I like all sorts of types of music. Every time I would hear music, I would distinctly hear the guitar first. Wasn't the vocals, wasn't the melodies, wasn't the drums. That guitar always stood out. Those frequencies always stood out. Those, that sound always caught my ear and always got me thinking, what is it? Why does it sound so good? My friends and I, we were just on a steady diet of Thin Lizzy, Led Zeppelin, and Leonard Skinner. What we would do is we would get tennis rackets and just air guitar. Yeah. Till one day I just said, I don't want to air guitar anymore. My brother played guitar. I should just get a guitar. I had $10 and a Kiss album. He wanted that Kiss album. I said, I'll trade you this Kiss album, $10 for that Montgomery Ward guitar. And he goes, yeah. I go, give me that thing. I had this Montgomery Ward guitar, and my friend John Marshall, he had a cheap Gibson copy, and we had the brilliant idea of combining them into trying to make a double neck guitar. Nice. Two completely different types of guitars, completely different types of maker, different types of wood. We tried to glue them together to make a double neck guitar. That didn't happen. And I needed a guitar, so in the interim, I had a really cheap Stella until I convinced my mom to put a down payment on a Stratocaster, a 78 Strat. And, this is around the time of like Van Halen 1. So everyone had a Strat with the idea of putting a humbucker pickup. And so I did the same thing, routed out the bridge pickup and put like a DiMarzio Super Distortion or something in the bridge pickup. I still couldn't get that sound that I wanted, which was basically the sound I heard on UFO albums, and on Zeppelin albums. I remember was going out with this one girl at the time. She said, let's go to Burger King. I was like, okay. So we're sitting there eating a Whopper or something. And she goes, I'll be right back. I'm like, okay. She comes back and she goes, here, I got you a application for a job here. Sign here. I'm like, huh? And I thought about it. I was like, oh, wait, this might be a good opportunity for me to make some money for some guitar strings. So, signed. But then I realized, oh, shoots, now I have a job. Now I have to actually work. But then I thought, but I need a better guitar. So I thought, this is brilliant. I'll just work at Burger King just long enough for me to save up some money so that I could trade in my Strat. And I think it was maybe $200 or $300 toward a brand new black Flying V that was at Leo's Music in Oakland. I remember seeing that black V and telling the guy, my friend who worked there, gotta hold this guitar for me for a month. And he literally stashed it in the back. And then I came in, gave him the Strat, gave him the cash, and I had that Gibson V, and I was so happy. I plugged it into my it was like a Sun practice amp at the time, and the sound was there. the sound that Jimmy Page got, the sound that Michael Schenker got, the sound that Jeff Beck got on Truth, basically the humbucker sound. I had the sound that Exodus needed, and so we started writing heavier stuff, faster stuff, and it really had a lot to do with the fact that I had the setup that I heard on other albums, which is a Flying V and a Marshall half stack. That became my guitar, man. Carried it everywhere. It's on the first 4 or 5 Metallica albums, it was on all the tours.
Well, we're going to get started here. Brown case. Let's start with brown case.
Yep, when you see a brown case, you pretty much know what's going to happen next.
Yeah, it's about to be fun.
Yeah,
We got one latch.
Yep. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
Let's start at the beginning.
Yes. I thought it would be really important to have first year model Les Paul, 52.
No number.
No number. It's such an iconic design, and just, you need to have an original just to have. And a lot of people don't like this trapeze tailpiece, but you can do some interesting things, with your palm on it, moving it around. And I love the P90 pickup.
Most of these that I've played, as cumbersome as the bridge can be, they sound ridiculous. There's something about
there's some like special oomph that comes with these guitars from 1952, and a lot of them I see are also missing
the ring.
The ring too. I don't know why that is. Maybe the ring, just that particular ring wasn't as functional as later rings. And I love the gold finish. I love gold top finishes, especially when they have a little bit of checking like this. I think the checking is so interesting on the gold tops. It's just like, it's almost like it brings out more of the gold.
Yeah.
Now
you remember where you got this one?
This was an eBay guitar.
You got it on eBay. Hey.
Yes. And
we all get a queue on eBay.
I was like, I hope it's okay. And when it showed up, it was absolutely okay, because that has not always been the case. I learned my lesson, like all this other guitar collectors. The guy was solid, and I spoke to him. He sent me pictures. It all checked out. It was all original, and I got it for a decent price. And it's like, probably the only eBay guitar purchase I've ever gotten where it was just 100% right.
Now, when do you reach for a P90 guitar instead of a humbucker guitar?
When I just want something different, and I want to invoke the spirit of someone like Leslie West, or maybe Johnny Winter, or someone who's just like a P90s player, but mostly like Leslie West. For single coil pickups, they're pretty fat, pretty full. And, have a pretty wide tonal spectrum. I used to never even bother with them. I was an EMG guy, put EMG in everything. I think I even probably thought about putting EMGs in this at one point. That was a joke.
Would it ever be a live guitar, or is this a studio only?
This would be a studio.
Noise in the live.
Yeah, because when you're dealing at those volumes and you turn around to face your cabinet, we all know that sound, and it's just like, you don't want to subject the audience to that, especially through a massive PA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, great place to start.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, this case has seen better days.
Yeah. Sometimes the case is just as interesting as what's inside.
I'm
so
anxious to see.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. So I just wanted to say, I just love Juniors and Les Paul Specials and all those kind of guitars, because they're just so fun. These are perfect guitars for just like sitting in front of the television and just like, plinking away on just whatever, hitting just like, whatever. And this one is pretty special. I saw it in an auction that Richard Gere was having. What really just kind of like brought my attention to this guitar is not the fact that the bridge has been replaced, but because it says Tosh right there.
As in Peter Tosh?
As in Peter Tosh. And so, you know, I gathered that this must have been Peter Tosh's guitar at one point. I don't know if it actually was or not. I like thinking that it was. I love Bob Marley. I love Peter Tosh, Bunny Wailer. I'm a huge reggae fan. And, you know, these necks, they're like so like flat, you know?
It's a 60, right?
Yeah, they're so flat. And I love how flat they are, you know, flat with like binding, but with such a small neck. And again, P90s, black. Yeah. And
the bridge,
yeah.
why change it?
Yeah, why change it? You know, I think Peter Tosh might have put it on there, you know, so why change it? It's, to me, it's original to the guitar. And I really like the double cutaway specials, you know. There's something about the double cutaways that are really nice.
TV just looks good.
Yeah, the yellow is great. I don't see how it would show up. Well, I do see how it would show up as white on a black and white TV. But man, the yellow, it's such a great shade of yellow.
It's killer.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
So this is a great guitar. And it's a little heavier too than usual. You know?
Oh, wow, that man kiss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Heavier. Yeah. And, you know, all I want to do is go skank, 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 skank. So it's a good one.
Very, very cool.
Mm-hmm.
All right, man.
Yeah.
Do the stuff.
Yep.
Well, this is a reissue brown case, so there could be anything in here.
Yes, you know, and yeah, but the only way to find out is to open it up and see what's inside.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, here we go.
Staple pickup.
Yeah, this is a special guitar. It was owned by one of my idols, and this one was owned by Nick Rouse. And you know, I've always appreciated his sound. His sound was always just like that much more, you know, to me. And I love his playing. It's really melodic and really thoughtful playing. You know, when I found out that this guitar was available and it was his, I freaked out. And it's just like, yeah, you know, no questions asked. I'll take it. And then right after I bought it, I ran into a friend of his, this guy named Rhino. And then he said, oh, yeah, I remember that 56. That was his house guitar that, you know, he used to just keep around the house, you know, be on the couch or something. He'd pick it up and play it. Nice. And I'm thinking, wow, that's probably better than having a stage guitar, you know, something that he kept around. Yeah, just like in arm's length, you know, playing.
Tell me your impressions of the staple.
Well, I have to tell you, man, when I first heard this staple pickup, I thought it was unlike anything I'd ever heard before.
It is, yeah.
I was so blown away. It was while I was recording a track for my solo album, The Gin. And there was a certain part, a 2 or 3 second part, I needed to like come up with just a short guitar melody. And so I grabbed this guitar, you know, plugged it into Logic, put it on this pickup, and recorded the melody, and it is so appropriate for the part. It's a tone that isn't anywhere else on the album. And every time I hear it, I go, oh, that's that 56, and that staple pickup, and it sounds like no other neck pickup, you know, I've ever seen ever. It had, at one point, gold hardware, you know, and it sounds killer, and it's light. It's not that heavy at all.
Yeah, not all of these are.
Yeah,
some of them are bricks.
Yeah, I mean, you know,
it is nice
because I have, like most guitar players, I have neck and shoulder problems from playing guitar. Yeah. So I gravitate to lighter guitars because of that these days.
Great checking on this.
And yeah, the checking is great. It's weird how, like, you know, some checking goes this way and then some checking goes this way. Yeah. You never really know what to expect, but got it for the right price, has a great story, and, you know, for me, it's a connection to, like, you know, one of my guitar idols, Mick Rouse.
And it's committed to record.
Yeah,
it's there forever.
It's there forever.
Rad.
Yeah,
very
love
cool.
it. Yeah.
Now, I know I've heard you say that kind of those first few Metallica records, there weren't a lot of guitars
around. No.
When did that finally, you guys started making money, you guys started buying stuff? When were your first, I don't even want to say collecting, because it probably wasn't a collection yet. It was more about just getting more tools. When did you start adding more guitars to the line?
Around Master of Puppets, I think I had like 5 guitars, and there's more guitars than I ever had, I felt on top of the world. I had my Flying V for the recording of Kill 'Em All. I remember at one part, we wanted, there was a break in the middle of Four Horsemen, and we needed something with a Floyd Rose, but there were nothing but Gibsons around. But then someone found a reversed Firebird that had a Bigsby on it. And that's what we ended up using for like a hot second on Kill 'Em All during Four Horsemen. And that was like the one like strange guitar that's on Kill 'Em All. For Ride the Lightning, again, is that black Flying V. I think I had the Fernandez Strat that had EMG pickups in it as well. I got that just so that I could have a whammy bar, because I only had my Flying V. Those 2 guitars were used to Ride the Lightning. Then for Master of Puppets, I had the Flying V, the black Fernandez Strat, and then like a red Fernandez kind of like super Strat thing. And also a Jackson too, Randy Rhodes, yeah. An 85 Jackson Randy Rhodes I still have, that's so busted up now, but sounds so amazing. And then for Master of Puppets, that's when we started getting more guitars. And that's when a really, really nice Sunburst reissue. And that's when I got that really, really great black Gibson Custom.
That you still kind of
have, yeah. You still kind of have. And those were used on Justice for All. Those 2 Les Pauls. And then I started using the ESPs as well for Injustice for All. And then for the Black Album, it was the Flying V again, the 2 Les Pauls, and then ES-295 I used on a couple songs. By that time, James was using Explorers, both ESP and Gibson Explorers. I had a Goldtop with P90s in it. That was when we started.
When did the real collecting
started around Injustice for All.
Injustice for All as well.
Yeah. This guy named Pete's Guitars in Minnesota. He went to the show early because he knew the promoter, got a room and just like filled it with guitars and opened up all the cases, so that once we got to the venue and Pete came up and said, "Hey, I'm Pete, I brought down a couple guitars for you to see." And we were like, "Okay, yeah." And then he'd lead us into this room, and literally there'd be like 30 guitar cases open. We'd just be like, that's when we first started really like buying stuff.
Yeah. Now, when it first started, were there certain things that you had like on the want list, or were you kind of just trying to get a little bit of everything, or were you really focused on certain things?
Well, I really didn't know about certain things, I was really instinctual. If it sounded good, I would buy it. I didn't know about bursts. I didn't know how great they were. I didn't know about PA amps. I didn't know about certain models are going to come out certain years. I was just really intuitive, and I would buy anything if it sounded good. But, I did end up with like a few juniors, a few P90 Les Pauls. I remember playing a 58V back then, and it was only $8,000, but I thought, $8,000, that's way too much. Man, I should have bought it.
All right. Another brown case.
What's in it? There's so many brown cases.
Oh, shut up. That's factory?
Yep. This is definitely something that's rare. I think, the popular term at the moment is unicorn, and this is a true
Great White Buffalo.
Yeah. It's original factory finish 1958 Gibson Les Paul Burst.
Yikes.
That came with a Bigsby that I took out I have the cutest picture of the original owner with this guitar. You know, this guy, he's like, you know, he had to be like in his 80s or something. He's holding this guitar and he has the biggest smile on his face. After I got this guitar, I could relate to that big old smile on his face because you just don't see this.
So what's this? I mean, I don't know the story, so I want to see what you like.
So
was this ordered like a custom order, or were there just a run of 3 that got made, or they're like?
Well, the story behind this one is somewhere in the South. The original owner of this wanted a red Les Paul and custom ordered this guitar from Gibson, and then it came and he got it, and you know, he was just kind of like a strummer type of player. And he played it for a couple of years and then just put it under his bed or something till like the 80s. My friend found it and bought it from him. And then he sat on it for like 20 years. I saw it and worked out a deal with him, but I couldn't say I bought it for 5 years.
Yeah.
It's that kind of thing, you know. That was 8 years ago.
So it's cleared.
So it's clear now. And, you know, like I said, it's original finish, not like the George Harrison one.
Which was a refit.
And I know that there might be another one out there. I'm not 100% sure, but this is exactly what it is. It's like 100%, like almost mint.
No, that's killer.
Yeah, you know, I say almost mint because, you know, it has.
Well, no, that doesn't change the fact that it is what it is.
It's a great weight as well. Like I said, they all sound great.
Now, was this bought with the collector heart in mind, knowing that it was a rare one thing, or just,
always?
No, this is like you had to just.
Yeah, it's just like almost like that's so amazingly beautiful and rare. It'll probably make it onto an album in the future, because, you know, my idea is to like use all my vintage guitars in the studio someday, you know, just to document the sound.
Yeah.
You know,
and it's just crazy because in 58, I mean, SGs weren't a thing yet, so that red wasn't. We weren't shooting ES 335s or 355s in red yet. That was until 59.
Nope.
So like, this is like
early
trans cherry.
Yeah.
Gibson stuff.
And when you turn it around, it's, you know, the color from the front to the back is so consistent.
Yeah.
You know, and the neck, it's like the whole thing is red.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like, it's crazy. And like I said, it sounds great, sounds beautiful, stays in tune. Look, the tuners look brand spanking.
No shrink. No.
Yeah. It's nuts. And so, yep, this is one of my babies.
Hasn't made it onto a record yet?
Not yet, but, you know, every intention on it. Yeah. Every intention. Yeah, it's a good one.
Dude, that's stupid. Moving on with the Les Pauls.
Mm-hmm.
Black case.
Another black case. This is the case that came with it, so I'm not really sure if it's original or not, but we'll find out once we open it up, and it should have a yellow interior, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there it is. Yellow interior.
And do a stable pickup custom. You got to have the 3 pickup custom.
Yeah. And, you know, I've been looking for one of these for the longest time, and I've played a lot of great ones, but this one is special in that it doesn't weigh 15 pounds.
Yeah.
You know, you get one on with a Bigsby and forget about it. Now, I'd be at the chiropractor like every week, you know, and the middle pickup is out of phase.
Yeah.
You know?
Got a thing for that.
Yeah. When I first got my paws on this guitar, again, it was a kind of situation where it's like, you're not getting it back. Just tell me what you want. And he said, I want one of your stage guitars. I go, done.
Yeah. How often do you know it almost within seconds when you pick something up?
Oh, I know within like, you know, the first minute.
You never need to be sold on something. You pretty much know it from the
Yeah, I mean, you know, and like people try to sell me on guitars. I'm just like, yeah.
But in great condition, man. Still got fretless wonders on it.
Yeah.
Now, you play a lot of sunburst Les Pauls. What's your preference on the ebony board versus the rosewood board?
I like the rosewood.
You prefer the rosewood board?
You know, there's something about it when you've been playing a rosewood neck, after about an hour or so, it's just like the rosewood starts to feel different. The ebony, when you're playing it for hours, so it just consistently still feels like ebony, the fretless Wonder, I get what they're trying to do. It takes me like 15 minutes just to get used to it. But once I'm used to it, it's cool, man. It's cool for clean playing, like jazzy kind of playing. Fretless Wonders are great. Yeah. For rock,
big string bending and shit like that.
It's hard to really dig in when it's a fretless Wonder. I like my guitars to fight me back a little bit,
Well, hey, that's why we have more than one guitar.
Exactly.
That's why we collect these things.
Exactly.
Man, this is killer.
Yeah, I love it.
Just the right amount of patina on it.
Yeah. Most of the gold is still on there.
Still intact.
Yeah. And so.
Waffle backs. Killer.
Yeah. It's a good one. And like I said, that was the one I've been looking for like the last 20 years.
Just because the weight is.
Yeah, the weight is perfect on
uncommon. For one of these.
Yes. Yep.
Sweet. Do you remember the first time you did play a Sunburst?
Yes.
Les Paul?
It was during the recording of the Black Album. It was Bob Rock's. He pretty much gave me the whole rundown on why those guitars are so special. For a few years, all the pickups are hand wound, no two sound the same. I have beautiful tops. There's special guitars all together. I was like, yeah. It was the year of, the moment of super strats. And so I was just like, I had like a bunch of super strats. And I was just like, yeah. But then one day he said, here, try this. And I plugged it in and I couldn't believe how responsive it was, how touch sensitive it was, and how little sounds, little things, little squeals could sound so cool. You get that with an EMG, but it's on steroids, and it's not as subtle. There's sounds that come out of those PAFs that we would never expect. Whereas EMGs, what you're going to get all the time, full out distorted frequencies, harmonic distortion, full out. Nothing is subtle. And when you turn them down, not what a PAF is when you turn it down. And I thought when I first started playing them, I was like, this is amazing sound, but it's not really our sound. And Bob Rock says, oh yeah, sure it is. You just need to learn how to incorporate it. And I was like, yeah. But then a couple of years after that, which would be about 1994, I went to Groon's. I saw a burst. I played it, and I was like, I got to buy this. And I bought it, and it was amazing. Showed Bob, I go, check this out, Bob. He goes, wow, this is great. But then I saw this other one that my friend had that was better. And the one that he had a broken neck, but it sounded better. And I said to my friend, you got to sell me this one. And then I had two. And then it went from there.
So this was what, 94-ish?
94, 95.
What were you paying for a burst?
The first one I bought was $20K, and then the second one, $25K.
So this was still in the $20,000 range on the burst.
Yeah. And man, I should have bought as many as I could, because I just recently bought one, and it wasn't that price.
$20K anymore?
No.
Oh boy, 5 latch.
Yep.
Brown case.
Yep. 5 latches and a brown case only mean one thing.
We're officially into PAF territory.
Yes.
And burst territory.
And some of the best PAFs ever made. Oh yeah.
That's lemon.
Yep. This one is, let's see, which one is this? This is a 58, and this one used to be super red until about 2 years ago. I opened up the case and I was like, where did all the red go?
Wow. So
yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Do you name all the bursts? Does this one have?
This one, I think, is the one that it's like the second one I ever had. And this is the one that I recorded most of Load on. I don't really have a name for this one. I have a name for all the other ones, but I don't have a name for this one. That's pretty crazy.
Got a great top on it.
Yeah, I love the honey burst. I guess that would be a honey burst, and it's super flamey. It's had a neck repair right there. You can see it.
Yeah.
But I don't mind. I'm of the theory that if you break a neck on a Les Paul, don't get bummed out, because when you get it back, it's going to sound better than it did, and that drives me crazy. I have at least 3 Les Pauls. Headstock broke off, came back, a better sounding guitar.
What is it? Can you?
I'd hate for someone to chop off my head and then put my head back on and then tell me I was a better person. So, but this one this Les Paul I got cheaper because it did have a headstock repair, and this is like the second one I had. And this one, it's all over load and I think reload. And this is the one that really got me going with on bursts. Yeah, I'll never forget it because it just had this weird kind of like wear mark on pickguard right here. Wow, I haven't seen this guitar in a long time.
Now, this is a 58. You got 58s. You got 59s, obviously. You have 60s as well. Mm-hmm. Does it matter? Do you notice differences tonally between the years?
Yeah, I found that 59 was a magic year.
Yeah.
And late 59 was like the ideal period because they had those great 59 pickups, 60s, body dimensions or specs. So the late 59s with 60 specs, I think, are probably the best ones. I have like a couple 60s, and I love them too. They're a little bit more aggressive sounding.
Magnets get a little stronger.
Yeah, they're a little bit more aggressive, and they have a lot more red, which I love, And it seems like a lot of my bursts now, when I open up the case, they have less and less reds. It's the case with a lot of my friends who have bursts too. They open up their case and it's less and less red. So it must be happening worldwide.
It's a global thing.
Yeah, global thing. Like I said, I have not seen this guitar in a long time, and it actually feels good to hold it again. I get attached to guitars and I'll play them for 3 or 4 weeks until I figure out, it's time to switch it. What can I say? They're hard guitars to get rid of.
Yeah.
Once you have one, it's just
hard to go back.
Hard to let go of.
Yeah. We got to talk about Greeny.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah.
How did you find out about that guitar being for sale? What drew you to? What was it, the Gary Moore Peter Green connection, or was it the sound of that guitar, or was it both?
Well, when that guitar became available, I was aware of it. It was like, I read about it in the guitar magazines. I read all the guitar magazines every month. I'm an obsessive reader, and so I have to get all the guitar magazines and read them all back, cover to cover. So I was aware of Greeny being out there and it being, super expensive, price tag of $1.5 million or $2 million or something. I remember reading that and going, who's going to buy that? I wasn't about to buy that. And so I didn't have interest because it seemed like one of those untouchable things. And so literally like 2 or 3 years later, I was just sitting bored in my hotel room in London. I was like, okay, what am I going to do? I don't know. I'll give my friend Richard Henry a call. Richard, what do you got for me today? I know you have something. He goes, I have a guitar for you. And I go, what do you have? He goes, I got the Peter Green, Gary Moore Les Paul. And I said, hold on, Richard. I'm not going to pay $1 million for a guitar ever. Okay. He goes, oh, no. It's not $1 million. That's a rumor. That's all poppycock. That's a word he used, poppycock. I go, okay, bring it over. I had no plans, whatever. Literally like an hour and a half later, he showed up with another friend of mine, John Marlowe. And he goes, here it is. And I'm like, all right, let's see what all the hoopla is. Opened it up, saw the, neck pickup reverse. And I'm like, oh, there we go. Picked it up, started hitting chords and going, acoustically, it sounds pretty good, because, everyone knows that that's always a good sign. Yeah. If electric guitar sounds acoustically great, then chances are when you plug it in, it's going to be amazing. So I'm going, yeah, sounds good. Then I plugged it into that blues breaker. and then put it on the neck pickup and start playing. Still got the blues. I'm like, yep, there it is. And put it on the bridge pickup, start playing some old Thin Lizzy stuff, you know. I was like, yep. Then I put it in the middle, and I was not really familiar with the middle sound at all. This is a Les Paul. It's not supposed to sound like that, you know? I was just like, this is amazing. And they're like, mm-hmm. And back to the bridge pickup. Oh my God, nice and syrupy. Back to the bridge pickup. Oh my God. I'm not giving this guitar back to you guys. This all happened within like a minute. I said to him, nope, nope, literally. And then Richard goes, okay, then let me take a picture. And the picture you see, the very first picture that you see of me with Greeny was within like literally the first 10 minutes. And I'm holding on to it. That's me saying, nope, you're not getting it back. And then I said, okay, how much is the price? And the price is very realistic. You know, it wasn't $1 million, wasn't $500,000. I hear of Les Pauls going, you know, these days for way more than what I paid for Greeny. I will never let anyone know how much I paid for Greeny. That's my secret. That guitar is priceless.
Yeah.
You know, I feel so fortunate that I got that guitar. It's changed my guitar style. You know, it's opened up my ears to just other things. That guitar allows me to feel everything that much deeper. That's the type of guitar you want.
No.
Something that can reach deep inside yourself and just pull it out. Greeny does that every single time. I get emotional about it because I feel like I have such a connection to just, it's not just a piece of wood, but it's like, it's a magical piece of something. I don't know what to say about it. You know, Peter Green saw it. Gary Moore saw it. I see it. You know, it's just like, I let anyone and everyone play it because it is a guitar that everyone needs to experience because it's so special. Mr. Cameraman, I would let you play it in a second if you asked me. You know, everyone needs to play it. It's a special thing. I don't really feel like it's mine. I feel like I'm the caretaker, and I'm the caretaker. Where I sleep, it sleeps.
Seems to go with you wherever you are.
It's on the plane with me. You know, it's not on the truck. It's not, you know, it doesn't go ahead to the next show. I always have it. I look at Greeny, and it's an amazing guitar. You look at it, and it has all these scratches and dings. And I just think of, you know, if all those scratches and dings could speak, there would be a million stories in there. And it's crazy. Jimi Hendrix has played that guitar. George Harrison's played that guitar. Jeff Beck, Rory Gallagher. The list is endless of the people who play that guitar. Because it's so inspiring and because I feel it has the ability to just reach deep inside of me. You know, I want that for other musicians. You know, I want that for other guitar players because that leads to better music, you know, overall. That's why I feel the need to share this iconic instrument with people out there because people deserve to experience something like this. It's a beautiful thing.
All right, gig bag.
Gig bag.
Mexican Strat?
Yeah.
Something like that?
$250 Mexican Strat.
Yeah.
Actually, it's that Montgomery Ward.
That Montgomery Ward guitar?
Saw it in half. Okay. Oh,
there it is.
She flows. There she goes. Steady, 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 Nick. Steady.
That's Greeny.
That's
Ladies
Greeny.
and gentlemen.
And always with a guitar strap.
And strap locks.
Strap locks. Because, man, I don't want to drop this guitar. And so, yeah. Listen how
It's just, you could just mic it.
So
and it'd be an acoustic, yeah.
So loud acoustically, you know, it's just so amazing. It's just like feels so right in my hands. And like every night when Justin hands it to me to play on stage, I'm like, yeah, give it to me. Because I just want to play it so loud to the PA. You know, it's just so satisfying playing it to freaking 70,000 people, you know. And it's weird because when I put it on people are pointing at it. The audience are going,
star, yeah.
oh, it's just like, so it kind of has its own thing going. I mean, this is the first guitar I've ever had that had its own fan base that had nothing to do with. And, you know, there are so many interesting things. Like, you know, Gary Moore put that wear mark there and right there, you know, because he was constantly going like this. And when he played, his fingers would just sit right there. So he put those wear marks in it. It's amazing to like look at old pictures of this guitar because there's so much red
on it. Yeah.
I mean, so much red. And now look at it. And like, there's no top coat on it. It's practically all worn off.
It's gone.
And, you know, you turn the thing over and look at that. I mean, that's a well-played guitar right there.
Yeah.
I mean, to the max.
Now, one thing I want to point out, because a lot of people know a lot of stuff about this guitar and they know the history. I don't know how many people know that you carved your initials into the back of the guitar. Can we flip this over really quick?
I don't know what you're talking about.
There's a KH. I mean,
okay,
why not, dude? Like,
okay, I was
your guitar.
Okay. I was sitting there one day rehearsal, just kind of bored, and I had this thing I do with my guitars. If I like the way it sounds, I'll carve my initials on the. It started with that Jackson back in.
Kirk was here.
Yeah, Jackson in 1985. And so I was going like this, you know, thinking, oh, maybe I should do that. And then Zach, or, you know, one of our guys, ran up to me laughing with a pocket knife. I go, bro, you read my mind. And I started carving my initials. He's going, no, I was just joking. I'm like, I wasn't. Carve. And then afterwards I thought, uh-oh, I think I might have done something that some people might take issue with, but I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, it's my guitar.
You know, so be it.
Now, I spent some time with this guitar in Nashville. It was in our vault. I might have visited on my lunch break.
Yeah.
For like 4 days straight.
Yeah.
I didn't notice that until I saw a prototype that was coming, and I was like, and it's like I was waiting for you to turn it over to see if you actually did it, and you did.
When Cesar came out to HQ to look at Greeny, I handed him the guitar, and right when he was turning it over, I ran out of the room because I thought he was going to get offended, you know, what the heck is this? But he saw that and he loved it. He thought it was great. He goes, oh, I love it. And this is going to be great for the limited edition, you know, put that on there and everyone will see it. It'll be great. And I go, okay, if you're not bothered by it, then that's wonderful.
Now, a question about the wear. Obviously, this guitar had a ton of wear on it when you got it. You've probably added some of your own. Whereabouts have you done most of your work?
Probably
kind
right.
of the arm.
Probably right
stuff?
here, because, you know, when I play, I use the top part of my arm as kind of like, you know, a pivot point, you know. It's just like if you're playing for long periods of time in the studio, like for 7 or 8 hours, you know, you just kind of just naturally do that. And so I would think, you know, a lot of this is from me, because that's definitely from Gary. But, you know, also I wear a belt on stage. Got to wear a belt on stage because I have put the pack.
Oh, you got to have something attached to all this stuff.
Yeah. And so
obviously that got started.
Yeah.
You've added to
that. And I've added to it. But, you know, it's character, and, you know, she keeps on sounding better and better to me, which means that it's just like she likes being played. Anyone can come up to me and go, can I take a picture with Greeny? I'll go, sure. Here, put it on and play it, you know. Play it as much as you want, because that guitar just wants to be played. I mean, it wanted to be played with Peter Green. It wanted to be played with Gary Moore. It wants to be played by me. It wants to be played by everyone in the world, I'm convinced. So much great music has been made with that guitar, and so much great music, I believe, will still be made with that guitar, even after I'm gone, probably. You know, who knows who will have it after me? Maybe it's my kids, maybe it's someone else. It can't be in a museum.
No.
You know, it can't be in a private collection or a vault. it needs to be active and working. It's happy.
No, it's as good as advertised. It's as good as the hype. It's as good as all of it.
And it's crazy because like sometimes, you know, I'll be in that position, you know, full on. I call it the dragon tone. And then I'll just back off just a little bit on this volume. And this weird thing happens where it goes from out of phase to back in phase. But the sound that it makes when it's doing that is phenomenal. And it's kind of non-musical sounding, and I'm trying to figure out how I can capture that sound and make it musical.
Yeah,
it's poetry, this guitar, you know.
As good as it gets. It's the most famous Les Paul on the planet.
Well, I don't know, man. Jimmy Page's Les Paul is pretty damn famous too.
Yeah, but you don't own that one. You own this one.
Yeah,
this is the most famous one.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. I kind of see it as it kind of like in charge of its own destiny, because it seems that way.
Yeah. Chainsaw cases. I love chainsaw cases. They're good for bursts.
Yeah, they're good for just about anything, really.
Oh boy.
Yes, here we go. Here's another very important guitar. And again, every time I opened up a case, there's just slightly less red. But this guitar is Gary Moore's other.
This is also former Gary Moore.
Yeah, he had, I believe, 3 of them. The other one is called Spot, which was Roddy Montrose's guitar at one point. And so this was his other guitar, which, funny enough, he actually went on record to say that this was a better sounding guitar than Greeny. But I think Gary was just bored of Greeny maybe, and just was like wanting something new to play, because he had Greeny for like 25 years or something.
Now, did you get this after Greeny?
Yeah.
When this one came up?
Yeah. And it was available, and I was just like, well, I'm a big Gary Moore fan. Yeah. And I already have Greeny. My friend said he had it. I said, send it over. And I plugged it in, and of course I fell in love with it just right again. And it's a 58. And I can tell that if this has been in the studio with me, because when I'm really like desperate to record and I'm in a hurry, I will do anything to get the job done.
So the 3M tape, that's not factory?
That's not factory. That wasn't put, and I was not put there by Gary Moore.
Okay.
Something is probably happening with the jack, and I was impatient, and I said, give me some tape. I'll just tape it up, and we'll put the jack in, and we'll record the track. We recorded the track. I was happy. I took the guitar off and put it in the case without taking the tape off, and the tape is still on there now, and I apologize, because that's probably going to make people mad. But, and also...
But you're using it. You had to use the damn thing. You had to do it.
When I see this, I'm thinking, well, it's kind of messed up. There's blue tape on a really, really cool Les Paul. But at the same time, it's part of its story. So I'm just like, I'll leave it on there for now. But Gary used this and recorded a bunch of singles on this guitar. And it's really, really great. It has a buzzy sort of sound to it. When you add some gain, it just has this weird chainsaw kind of distortion that I love. Yeah. And this is the only one that I have that sounds like that. And so, of course, I fell in love with it and just had to have it. And it's been played a lot. It has these really strange, wear marks here. Look at that. I mean... Yeah. Have you ever seen wear marks?
Sometimes I see this and it happens from a capo that someone might have left on and it ate through the finish, but I've never seen one.
Yeah, but right
never seen one down there. That's capoing pretty high up the neck.
Yeah, and so that's the one thing that's really strange about this guitar is how did that kind of wear just happen? Like that. That's a pretty deep wear mark. But other than that, it's a great guitar. Every time I open up, there's less and less red, so it's on its way to being a honey burst, sooner or later.
Great wood, though.
Yeah.
Really, really pretty.
Yeah.
Figuring on it.
And it has the same wear that's on Greeny.
It's just on the guard instead of on the top.
Exactly. It's like, Gary would anchor his fingers there and just play. It's a good one. They're all good.
That's good.
Yeah, and decent weight as well.
Yeah, it feels great.
Yeah.
Another 5-latch lifting.
Yeah, another brown case. Wow.
In a certain shape.
Yeah, you always know what that's gonna entail. And oh my goodness, yes,
Boy, that's a lot of red and a lot of flame.
yeah. This is a great guitar, and it's such a beauty. I mean, it's one of the most reddish ones I have now.
Is this a 60?
It's a 60, and almost all my Les Pauls once had red in them. So that's why I'm kind of making a big deal out of them when they do have red. And the 60s still kind of retain their red.
Man, in the case, that top didn't pop the way it did when I took it out. There's major wood on that.
Yeah, it's pretty flamey. This is the one I got. It's probably like one of the most recent ones I got.
Yeah.
I got this one maybe 3 years ago. I call it Sunny because I noticed that the 60s ones are a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more upfront, a little bit more brighter, and hence the name, because it's brighter. I call it Sunny.
Great name.
Yeah.
Not too skinny. It's not like the blade 60 neck. It's kind of like the in between.
In between, yeah. It feels kind of like a 59.
Yeah.
The amazing thing about this guitar is when I first started playing, I was like, why is there 9s on this, bro? I use 10s. He goes, those are 10s. I'm like, really? It just plays so nice.
And you got the ABR all the way down.
Yeah.
You got the stop door all the way against the body, and it's still loose.
Yeah, it's super, super. Yeah, the tension's just so slinky still, and it's like, all the way down.
Yeah.
This is probably the best Les Paul neck out of all of mine, because they don't feel like 10s. They feel like fucking 8s or 9s.
Yeah.
And that to me is a miracle, because all my guitars, when you put 10s on them, they feel like 10s.
Yeah.
But this one, it feels like something else. And so it's one of my favorite ones.
God, looking at you holding it, the wood is
it's
it was
amazing.
kind of peekaboo in the case. It ain't peekaboo when you took it out of the case.
I mean, it's so killer.
Wow.
What can I say?
When did you get hip to the Korina Flying V's, Explorer, stuff like that?
When I just really started getting feverish about bursts. And it wasn't until about maybe my third or fourth one that I thought, I just got it. I have to get a Korina. I have to check it out. And so Bob knew a guy from Canada, and this guy called Bob and said, hey, I got this wacky Flying V that has all these rhinestones embedded in it. Are you interested? Bob said, no, but I might know someone who would be. That was me. And I remember finally the guitar arrived at the studio, opened it up, and this is this Flying V. It was a Korina Flying V, 100% original, except for all these rhinestones that were embedded, like in the headstock, in the pickup, on the pick guard, in the body along the pick guard. And I thought, oh my God, this thing's total bedazzled, but it sounds amazing. So I had it restored, and that was my first Korina guitar. And I just thought to myself, amazing. Then I thought to myself, I have to get an Explorer. And so, because that's what one does.
Got this odd wedge shaped.
Yes, it's always a good thing when something wedge shaped
shows up.
Yeah,
with some leather missing around the sides.
Yeah, 'cause it only really mean one thing.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yep. Original case, original purple carpet inside.
Double black plastics.
Yep. This is either the second or third Flying V ever made. It's a prototype. What can I say, man? For a person like myself who loves Flying Vs, this is like, one of the ultimate Vs to have.
Yeah.
It doesn't have a serial number, which is
makes sense.
Yeah. The pickups, the pickup routes are not machined. They're chiseled out. these are screws instead of bolts.
Instead of
Instead of bolts.
And dude, a freaking crotch stinger.
Yep.
It's got a stinger in the crotch of the guitar.
It's one of those rare kind of friggin' anomalies. You know,
I love a stinger.
Yep.
For the win.
Why didn't they keep that? Is why
It's the coolest.
Yeah.
That's the coolest.
Why? Is this like? And then it has this weird thing right there, which
Which is probably why they put the stinger.
Yeah, not really sure what that is.
Wonder if they thought that's where the strap button
Maybe
was gonna go, and they were still messing around with it.
Yeah, you know, it sounds as good as Greeny does. There's something about that guitar that just like it's crazy, and also I don't know if it's my imagination, but gold-plated parts. I mean, they have a sound to itself. I think it might just maybe it's my imagination.
This is rare. I mean, ours is double black. You played ours at the vault, but only the first 4 or 5 were double black, and then the white stuff starts coming out, and then all the rest of them are white plastics.
Yeah.
So it makes sense that it was black, and then to not have the
screws instead of the rivets.
The rivets, yeah. It adds up, man. Has this been put on record?
Not yet, but you know, the idea is to put it on record. And you know, for some reason, I can hear the cavity under here more so than other Flying Vs. I don't know if it's my imagination or because it was hand routed instead of machined, you know, and has just a little bit more acoustical space underneath the pickguard. I don't know, but you know, there's something underneath this and that makes it sound unique, you know, to other Vs. Yeah, you know, good size neck, good weight. You know, all the gold is still there. It's a great one, man. It's one of my favorite Vs. For a V guy like me, it's pretty much the ultimate.
It's the apex right there. Yeah.
And I feel very lucky because when I showed up at the guy's house, you know, I saw the case. He goes, I don't know if I want to sell it. And literally, I had to get down on my knees and
Really?
beg. And it was a slow process, but I finally got him to say yes. And here it is. I'm very, very happy to have it.
Fantastic.
I wanted this to look like, you know, a typical heavy metal guitar case with a typical heavy metal guitar inside. But, you know, once you open up the case, it's
feeling it's not typical.
Yeah, a completely different story altogether.
Yeah. Well, brown case, different shape.
Yeah. And so
we're going into some other fun stuff here.
Yeah. Ta-da.
Yikes.
Yep. And comes with a cheat sheet for turn the page.
Oh, nice.
Like I need a cheat sheet for turn the page.
It's nice to see
3 chords.
That you still have the lyric sheet with the chord changes over it, just like the rest of us.
Sometimes I need to put a music stand on stage because I forget things.
Oh. All right. So you're the second person with a Korina Explorer we've had on the show. Uncle Rick was the first.
Yeah. And, you know, I sent him old Rick a picture of this, and he was just like, nice. I like it.
So a couple things I'm noticing. We shipped 19 Explorers in 58. That doesn't mean we only made 19 Explorers in 58, but we only shipped 19 Explorers in 58. This has a 58 serial number on it, but based on everything else on the guitar, this guitar probably shipped around 1963.
Yep.
Because we've got
precisely
nickel parts.
Yep.
We've got reflector knobs.
Yep.
You can see where there was a short Maestro, which would have been of that era, but it's got a 58 serial number.
Yep.
So this is totally legit from that original batch.
Yep.
Just did not ship until 1960.
Yep. And James's Explorer, very similar serial number, but his came out in 58 or something. And his hardware is totally different. And he didn't have a Maestro on his.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But all the 60s guitars had that. So when did you get this and where did you get this?
I got this at the same time that I got that red Les Paul. That
was a good day.
It was a big deal. And like I said, I couldn't talk about it for 5 years, you know?
it was a good day.
Yeah, it was a really, really, really good day. And, you know, I've had it ever since. And one thing I've noticed of every single original Explorer I've ever seen, and I've only seen maybe 4 or 5. I'm not gonna fool anyone, but they all kind of have this M or W grain, and that's a defining characteristic to me, or whether or not you have a real Explorer. Because I've had fake Explorers, and they're not that great, and they didn't have that WM kind of grain. Whoever had it before me and before the person I got it from, they didn't play it. This guitar has not been played that much.
Yeah.
I mean, for a guitar that's almost as old as I am, look at it. It's in a lot better condition than I am. It's just like there's hardly any belt or buckle scratch.
Yeah, it's been checked.
The checking. Yeah, the checking, it hasn't really progressed much. Still has a lot of its top coat. And the neck feels just like so super smooth. The tuners have shrunk a little bit, but I actually like that look. When the tuners are a bit crazy looking.
Now, I know you're a V guy. Do you reach for this for certain things or often, or if you're going to play a shape?
It's more just kind of like, I feel like playing my Explorer, so I'll play my Explorer. A lot of times it's out at HQ because it's like so cool to look at, and I'll just play it here and there. But, James tours with his and plays his on stage, and it sounds great on stage.
If both of you guys are on stage, both playing original Korina Explorers, that would pretty much be
that would be the craziest thing. Yeah.
Maybe at a San Francisco show, hometown show, you can make that happen.
Well, that's the
most expensive stage of all times right there.
James and I talk about that often. Yeah. Playing them both at the same time. And sometimes I think, well, should I sell it and get a bunch of other guitars? And I think, no, because I'll never be able to have one again.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so few of them, and they hardly ever come up for sale. And when one does, it's for sale for about a week, and then it gets snatched up. The demand is high for those type of guitars. But yeah, can't go wrong. Can't go wrong.
Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah.
It's a Flying V. It's just a matter of what.
It's it's a chainsaw Flying V case, which is rare in itself, actually. You don't really find that many chainsaw V cases.
Oh.
And
that's where it all begins.
Yeah, this is the one that started it all. This is the one that I used to sit in my bedroom with and just learn fucking all sorts of crap or try.
You worked at Burger King for this guitar.
Yeah.
And here it is. Still.
Every time I hold this guitar, I'm just blown away on how light it is.
Yeah.
Because back in the day, weight wasn't really an issue. It was just my guitar, and that's what it was. And then I went on to playing really heavy guitars. And so, because some Les Pauls can be pretty heavy. Yeah, when I got this guitar, I changed the bridge so that I had a more space to the palm mute. I put this in so that it wouldn't do that, because it kept on doing that whenever I'd stand on the strap and move. Yeah. But I put these speed knobs on with this one raised slightly more so I could have more access to it,
Yeah.
And I think, I changed the tuners at some point. That was my attempt to try to say the finish on the back by just putting black duct tape. Black gaff tape. And that was probably put on sometime in the 80s and has not even come off since. Same right there. But yeah, this is the one that started it all. And you can't really see it right now, but I wrote a bunch of stuff on here, and my initials are on there somewhere. It's kind of a trip to see this guitar. I only see this guitar every couple of years, but I notice it's now starting to check. Yeah, down there. Wow.
What is it about these 70s Vs? Because they're so dramatically different than the Korinas. They have this huge bumper.
Yeah.
what a fretboard is. The necks are tiny.
Yeah.
Tiny. You got the volute, the short headstock. What is it on these in terms of when you were playing? Was this just that neck? Was the neck that, I mean, you're obviously not getting held back by mass.
When I remember taking it down, you know, off the wall, Leo's music, and then getting a guitar strap and putting it on. And back then, you know, I was just like, I was about, I don't know, maybe 30 pounds, just so lighter. I was a scrawny kid, you know, 17 or 18-year-old kid. So, you know, putting this on, it fit perfectly to my frame at the time. And, you know, the neck volute, I just loved just doing that, you know, all the time, you know, because it just, and holding it like that, because it just felt like it was made for my hand. I mean, it was just perfect for that. And then all the way up, all the access, I mean, it was so much of an easier guitar for me to play than like a Strat. I can get around it, and, you know, I felt in full control of the guitar. Whereas Strats, you had the bar, you had to have, you know, the knobs, you know, some of them work for some pickups, some of them don't. You know, the pickup was always kind of like, you know, kind of iffy if you're putting it in between. There's just a lot more moving parts on a Strat. So when I got to this guitar, it was like ready for business. I was ready for action just right off the bat. And, you know, plugging it into a Marshall, that was the sound.
Yeah.
And, you know, never looked back. This guitar has been stolen from me twice, and I've managed to get it back. You know, it's been lost. The airlines lost it maybe 2 or 3 times, and I've managed to get it back. You know, I've been extremely lucky with this guitar. You know, I've lent it to people, and like they've returned it with pieces out of it. You know, when my friend took a chunk out of the headstock, but saved the chunk, and I fucking glued the chunk back on. You know.
I mean, what did you write? Does anything come to mind? Riffs?
Yeah. You know, like, you know, it's just like this. Well, tune, but, you know, Die by My Hand was written on this guitar when I was 17 years old. You know, that riff, and I was thinking, going, wow, that doesn't sound like anything I'm hearing on the radio right now. It's so much heavier, and it's only because the attitude was in this guitar, and it brought it out. All the early Exodus stuff was written on this guitar. Riffs that are Ride the Lightning, Master of Puppets, and Justice for All, and the Black Album, they're written on this guitar. All the guitar solos on Kill 'Em All were done on this guitar. All the guitar solos on Ride the Lightning were done on this guitar. So this and Greeny, I would say, the guitars there I'm just most connected to deeply, you know, like deep from a place deep inside of me. This guitar and Greeny. So yeah, this is the one, man.
That's
so cool. Yeah, I love it.
Guitar was a big part of my childhood too.
Yeah. And it's interesting when I see pictures of that guitar, you know, it just makes me want to smile. I was just like, yep, that's the one. Yeah.
Be cool in purple too.
Good idea. That's a great idea. I'll give that some thought.
Give that some thought.
Yeah.
Look great in purple.
Yeah. Metallic purple.
Like a metallic purple.
Yeah.
So I just remember when we shot Icons, we were at Metallica HQ, and I kind of snuck around and saw the case room there, and there seemed to be this endless row of Flying Vs, like every color, every year. What do you have the most? Is it Flying Vs that you have the most of, or is it Les Pauls?
Flying Vs.
Yeah.
Yep. I love Flying Vs. I think it's because I've had one for so long. I've been playing them ever since, like, 2 years into my guitar playing. I changed from a Strat to Flying V, and that was it. You know, I've been playing over 40 years now. Flying Vs are just natural to me. They feel natural to me. The neck, the sound, the pickup configuration, the knob configuration, the empty cavity sound. You know, when you play a Flying V, I hear that empty cavity when I play it. I love flying Vs. I'm like Rudolf Schenker. Yeah, we talk about flying Vs every time I see him. I have 3 from the 60s. I have at least 15 Medallion Vs. I pretty much have every year from the 70s. I had the 80s white rectangular neck Vs and dot inlay Vs. I have those crazy wooden Vs with the V-shaped pickups. One V I don't have is the backwards V. That looks like every to me.
It can't all be winners.
Yeah. I have to draw a line.
Yeah.
But I even see new Vs. I'm like, I gotta have that.
Well, I remember I was sitting around my house. It was a Saturday. I was sitting watching a movie with my kids, and my phone dinged. And I looked at it, and you had sent me a text, and it was, dude, I just got something. My phone dings again, and it's pictures of the Schenker V.
Yeah.
How big of a moment was that?
It was
for you to have that guitar.
It was huge. I mean, I really have to give a lot of credit to the guy who sold it to me, to Wolf Hoffman from Accept. I mean, he got it from Michael Schenker's tour manager, who had been sitting on it for like 20 years. And there's not that many pictures of that particular V in the incarnation it's in now, which is in the black and white V2 paint job. But it's the red Medallion V that Michael Schenker played on Phenomenon, Forset, and No Heavy Petting. And it's crazy because you can still see some of the red, if you look at certain spots on the guitar. Michael knows I have it, and he said 100%, that's the guitar that he played on the first 3 UFO albums. For me, that's amazing, because I've spent years, it feels like years, listening to UFO guitar solos, trying to figure it out. And I've spent so much time listening to that particular guitar. It's one of those full circle things. It's crazy because when I was about 17 years old, I was in a record store in Berkeley, California called Rather Ripped Records. And I saw Phil Lynot's solo album. I had turned the cover over, and there's a live shot of Thin Lizzy on stage somewhere, some festival. There's Gary Moore. He has Greeny. And, he's bent back, bending a string. I remember looking at that picture and pointing at the guitar and going, that's a cool guitar. That's a cool picture. And why is that Les Paul cooler than other Les Pauls that I see other people playing? There's something about that Les Paul. It was Greeny, and like getting that guitar, again, full circle. It's crazy how things like that happen to me in my life, but they seem to happen with that Schenker Flying V. I mean, it's almost like a religious relic for me. It represents so much of my youth and all the travails I went through in just trying to learn how to play guitar and be a great improviser and soloist like Michael Schenker. It's just one of those crazy things, I have to start off this conversation with, this is a phone number. It's a London phone number.
Yeah.
Earl's Court. This phone number was Peter Mensch's phone number. Peter Mensch managed Michael Schenker right after Michael Schenker left UFO. And Michael Schenker stayed at Mensch's house during the recording of the first MSG album. Hence, Peter Mensch's phone number on this case. And what is in this case?
Yeah, I got an idea.
Yeah. We get.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. It's its appearance is deceiving. It looks like, your typical Michael Schenker Gibson Flying V painted, the V2 rocket. He did that for a while. But what this guitar really is it's a Gibson Medallion V from the 71 or 72. and it was Michael Schenker's Medallion V that he got from Rudolf Schenker. And this is the guitar that Michael Schenker used to record the first 3 UFO albums, Phenomenon, Force It, and No Heavy Petting. This guitar used to be red. You can still see some of the red, poking through the white, certain areas. I spent so much time as a teenager just staring at this guitar on the back of UFO's Force It album. There's a picture of Michael Schenker playing this very guitar. It's red. You can see the medallion. And I used to stare at that guitar going, I need to get a Flying V, And I got that one. But little did I know that, decades later, I would have the very Flying V that I was staring at.
Yeah.
I mean, so something weird is happening. I don't know what it is, but I seem to be able to attract guitars that I've spent so much attention on over the years, and somehow or another they've made their way towards me, like Greeny and this Flying V. This is the one that he played all those guitar solos on that I spent so much time relearning, and it's amazing to have this guitar. It has this, the T-top pickups. The bridge isn't original, but the tailpiece is, and you see a little bit of wear there on the tailpiece, and I'm just thinking, Michael's, hand was right there.
What would 15-year-old Kirk say if he knew that one day he was going to have this guitar?
50-year-old Kirk would probably run out of the room going, you're crazy, and would be really scared of the responsibility of having such an important instrument. It's just like, because when I first started playing guitar, I didn't feel worthy of anything.
Well, I've seen you play it. And you it was on Kimmel?
Yeah, I played it
right after you got it.
I had to play it, I had to play it just right away. And I think I got it the day before we did that Kimmel thing, and I was just like, I gotta play this. I have to play this.
God, these Medallion Vs.
Yeah.
It's like a popsicle stick neck.
Yeah. I have quite a few Medallion Vs, and consistently great. Consistently great.
You have all of this stuff, but you're still looking. What gets you excited now? Is it clean stuff? Is it super rare stuff? Is it stuff that the history or the owner? Is it what are you going after when you collect now?
One thing I do not go after is absolutely mint stuff.
Condition is not.
I collect all sorts of stuff, not just guitars. And I've come to realize that, the condition thing, you could be screwing yourself if you pass on something just because the condition's not right. If it's rare, it's rare. I love player guitars. Greeny is the ultimate player guitar.
2 headstock repairs.
Yes.
Not
2 headstock.
One. 2 headstock.
2 headstock repairs, and just 2 knobs are switched out. I'm always switching the pickup selector. Then that thing is always coming off. I don't know why. It's the ultimate playing guitar. There's so many nicks, so many dents. The finish, it's almost completely worn off. Ice can sweat, fucking bleed, snot all over that guitar, and the value's never going to diminish.
So what is it that you're still looking for? What's out there that you don't have that you're interested in?
Well, it's funny because there's so many different variations of Gibsons. They'd have their standard line of guitars, but there would always be the custom order or the one employee request that made it different from the standard line. And there seems to be quite a number of those type of guitars out there for all the different models from the 50s and 60s, and that's what I'm interested in.
Yeah.
Is the super rare, maybe one of 2 or 3 known to exist. That's the type of stuff I tend to gravitate to. Low supply, high demand, and as a collector since I was like 5 or 6 years old of like, comic books, toys, blah, 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 blah. I just know that things like that will always hold its value and there will always be a demand. And as time goes on, the demand just gets bigger and bigger, which means equals, more value or more worth. But that really, the value and worth stuff, I don't really think about, I just like to think about how cool the instrument is.
Favorite Gibson custom color?
Well, there's a new Gibson colored purple metallic.
Oh, the purple metallic.
That I can't help it, man. I am just like, I'm a purple guy, Prince is famous for purple, but maybe hopefully I'm second in line for purple. But then, we're talking old school. I love black Gibsons.
Why are black Gibsons so freaking cool?
They're just epic sounding. It's nothing like, a black guitar. Black guitar is like black clothing. Just every time you put it on, it just goes with whatever you're wearing, and it just means business,
I think people take it for granted now because everything comes in black.
Yeah.
But when you're talking about the old 50s, unless it was a Les Paul custom,
Yep. They're all special.
all special order.
Yeah, special order. My number one want, and people know this, the 3 people who have them know it. I want a black, standard. There's 3 black standards out there, and 2 of them are locked up in collections, and another one is just unattainable because the guy wants a phone number price for it, and like I'm not into paying phone number prices.
Yeah.
I call this case the monolith.
Yeah.
Because it reminds me of a certain
family of 4 in here.
Yeah, it reminds me of a certain thing in a certain science fiction movie.
And Kyle's 2 over here too.
Yeah, got to make sure it has appropriate. Oh, look, look at that.
Oh, there's something you don't see every day.
Yep.
Oh man.
Yep.
Factory black.
Yep. It's a killer.
Long guard.
Yeah.
59.
Long
60.
guard that warped into a deadly barb. I had to get my friend, Mr. Gaffer, to kind of take the danger factor out of there. But because I did that, it's pissed a lot of people off. Cesar seemed to be like the only one who understood why I did this. God bless him. But yeah, this is a factory black ES 335. There's a famous picture from 1959 of the NAMM show in Chicago, and there's a Flying V in the picture, a Les Paul, and right behind him is this guitar sitting in the background, and it's a killer. I've always wanted a black 335 ever since I saw Keith's black 345, and I suspect that this is the guitar that Keith's been looking for all of his life. And it's interesting because when you see it inside, they wrote 345, yes, 345, and then went back and wrote 335. I think it's like one of maybe 2 or 3.
I know of one other that I know is
Tom Petty had one, right?
sure legit. Tom, I'm not sure if he had a black one or not.
Mm-hmm.
I never saw it if he did.
Yeah.
I know one other guy that's got it verified, which is weird. I actually want to check now because his is funny. It has a second orange label underneath the top, and it just says black on it. Super rad.
Wow.
But this, you got the T on there too. Like it's just that's original factory black 355. That's rarer than a Korina V. That's rarer than a Korina Explorer. Way rarer than a Burst.
Yep, it's one of my favorite guitars, and it doesn't feed back. It does not feed back. I've played it on stage, full fucking volume, hitting tremendous power chords, super full, super tony, no feedback. And it holds up, man. Great rhythm sound, great lead sound, great clean sound. Acoustically, you can't go wrong with a 335.
What does this do at stadium volumes on stage?
Sounds
It's just
killer.
it's ringing.
It sounds so big. I mean, it is like so big and full. It sounds like 2 guitars, really. When I first got it, there wasn't as much yellowing as there is now. And I only think it's only gotten more yellowing because it's seen more time out of the case. And you can tell I played it on stage because it has sweat stains all over it.
Yeah.
You know, it's just kind of like a telltale thing for me. When I really, really think about it and I'm really honest with myself, it's probably my second best sounding guitar.
Of everything we've seen, and we've seen some shit today. This is probably my favorite of everything we looked at.
I don't really want it to be my second best sounding guitar, but it is. Like, it is. It is.
That's
That's
cool.
And so that's why I had this case built, because
it's about as heavy duty.
Yeah, because ESD 35s are a little bit more fragile than your standard Les Paul or Strat or whatever. Hence the case which I call the monolith. Yeah, and actually this guitar is now known as the monolith too because it's so big sounding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. Love it.
Is this acoustic?
Semi.
Oh.
Yes.
Cherry 295.
Yes. I've always had a soft spot for 295s. There's a picture of me holding a gold 295 when we were recording the Black album. This one, unfortunately, is missing its little screw right there, so we'll just kind of like hold it. But, I was drawn to these guitars because of Geordie of Killing Joke.
Yeah.
He only played 295s, and I always loved the sound that he got on Killing Joke albums. That's why I bought that gold one, and I love the gold one, but man, that bridge is just like moves all over the place. That one's a 52 or 53.
Yeah.
This one is a later one, and it has the trapeze, but the bridge is more, it's just like stays in one spot.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the intonation's better, the playability's better, the tension's better. But I've never seen a red one. You always see them as gold.
Yeah.
And so when I saw this as red, I fell in love instantly. And I told the guy, please send me that out ASAP. And I thought for the longest time I thought it was watermelon. But, Cesar said, no, that's pretty much standard, red cherry. Cherry, all the parts are there. It's 100%, except for that little screw that I seem to have lost. But I love these guitars to death.
Well, what were you using this on? Because I did see you with the gold one on the Black album. A year and a half ago.
Yeah, I would. It was mostly for like background stuff,
Clean tracks or
clean. Always, clean
parts.
Well, back then, clean. But I play this clean, and then I turn on the fucking, changes the channel into full on dirty, and it sings.
Right.
This thing sustains for days. I mean, it's just once the note catches it, catches itself inside, it's just like there's this thing, and it's just the note goes on forever. And super versatile. I can feel like I can play anything on that guitar. I could play rock. I can play, Killing Joke, angry stuff. I can play bluesy stuff. I can play jazzy stuff. It all works out on that guitar.
They're custom color.
I love
They're more fun.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
They're more fun.
But easier to tell which guitar is yours.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. And I don't know why, but I'm just a sucker for that.
Pickguard.
Yeah.
Pickguard's rad, dude.
Yeah.
Not going to apologize.
Yeah.
That's totally rad.
Gold parts, Yeah. It's a good one. I just wish I had the original case, Can't have it all.
I do want to talk about ESPs, your signature ESP. When I was a kid, the first time I saw it, it was like, oh yeah, every guitar that I'm ever going to own for the rest of my life, it's going to have skull and crossbones.
Yes.
It's the coolest thing I've ever seen. Tell me about designing that, because it's kind of the super strat thing, but it's not a bolt-on single humbucker guitar. What were you going for when you were putting that guitar together?
I came up with that design in 1988, which was the dawn of the Super Strats. You know, everyone was still just playing a Strat with a humbucker. It wasn't like, you know, full on full on concept that it became in like 89, 90. You know, all of a sudden it was Super Strats had arrived. I had known from playing, what was it, maybe alembic guitars or something. I remember playing some type of guitar with a neck through body and going, this is the way to go. This sounds amazing. And so I heard about ESP through Scott Ian, you know, from Anthrax. And he said, yeah, ESP, you know, I bet they'd be interested in working with you and they'll make you anything. I was like, great. What I did was I got the specs from the Flying V and it's specs from my Strat and just put them all into one guitar with a neck through body concept. So if you look at the KH-1, basically it's like the Flying V knob configuration, you know, Strat style kind of a body, but you know, with Flying V, you know, two pickups like Flying V. It's basically a Flying V and a Strat put together into one guitar with neck through body. When I got that guitar, I was like, this is perfect for everything I want to do, you know. And at the time, all I wanted to play was balls out, totally aggro heavy metal, nothing else. And so that's how it came about. It's basically a Flying V and a Strat just kind of like truncated together in the craziest way.
That original black ESP, how many shows do you think that guitar played on stage?
A lot. But you know, my black Randy Rhoads Jackson has actually played more because that guitar has been continuously out on the road since 1986. And I just retired that guitar last year.
Right.
Whereas, you know, that black ESP I retired maybe 5 years ago. So that black Jackson has probably seen upwards of 2,500 shows, 3,000 shows, easy. That guitar has played, sad but true, quite a few times. And, you know, it's funny, the horn, you know, it used to come to a tip. It's like so
rounded off.
It's so rounded off and like dull now.
Yeah. Well, we got to do one Super Strat at least.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
I'm assuming this is probably a cool one.
Yeah. And, you know, I have to say,
the Joker.
Yeah, all my ESP guitars have had the same specs ever since 1988 or 89.
It's just paint jobs.
It's just the paint jobs. The only thing that changes, like I was telling you earlier, the whole purpose of the ESP guitars was to put a Strat and a Flying V together, you know, hence, you know, three pickups, humbuckers, but you know, Strat style body and whammy bar and neck through body, which is like super important for me. You know, I feel like it because it's neck through body, has more mass, hence more sustain, and you know, locking bridge so I can go crazy. But you know, basically they're always the same, double scale. You know, there's a slight scallop from like, you know, the 17th fret on. Because
I never noticed that.
Yeah,
I see it now.
And it's only so that I can do the guitar solo for one. That's all. The only reason why it's scalloped. That's the only reason why. Nothing else. Because I'm not a right hand technique guy. You know, Eddie Van Halen excels at it. Jeff Beck excels at it. Let them do it. I don't want to sound like them, but you know that just, you know, yeah. All the KH-1s. They are always the same specs. The only thing that's different is the paint job. So, you know, theoretically, you can go to anywhere, get a KH-1, and, you know, it will have the same specs as mine and should sound exactly like the ones I play on stage.
Yeah.
You know, and that, to me, is super important. I love surfing. I love comic books. I love the Joker.
Yeah.
Hence this guitar.
How many different themes do you think you've done on the KH-1 now between them? All of the different movie poster ones, the Ouija. I mean,
there's got to be at least 30 or 40. I mean, there's a lot of guitars that you haven't seen that I have with like crazy graphics. I mean, I have an ESP with a theremin built into it. It's crazy. It's like this thing. All of a sudden, you pull the telescoping antenna out, and with the guitar on, I can play the theremin. You know, I have that guitar somewhere. And then I have a whole bunch of guitars that I just love to put stickers on. And, you know, no one ever sees those guitars because, like, you know, it's like there's a lot of product stickers on there, you know, other company stickers, you know, goofy stickers, profanity. It's not the type of guitar that, you know, is appropriate to take pictures with, really. ESP, they have a really great team of artists whose the only job is doing this kind of thing. And, you know, I love it. You know, it's kind of like I have a yin yang sort of thing going, you know.
No.
I have like your super dark, you know, super stratty kind of stuff. And then I have your lighter, more versatile, more accessible, you know, guitars, you know, with that kind of sound. And I just try to find a balance and kind of use it all to just work for me.
No. You had me at skull and crossbone inlays.
Yeah, you know.
Still the coolest thing I've ever seen.
Well, you know.
9-year-old me was right. It's never gotten old. I've never gotten over it. It's still the fucking coolest thing.
Back then in 88 or 89, no one had skull.
That was absolutely
and no one did. And
coolest thing ever seen. How excited are you about the new Gibson stuff that's coming out with your name on it?
Again, it's like, you know, full circle stuff. When I got my first V, I felt like, you know, I had the equipment that I needed to finally make the sounds and write the music that I wanted to write. Gibson kind of like enabled me to do that. And so here we are, like 40 years afterwards, and it's like being back at home base again. It feels like, you know, Gibson was my house, and I became a runaway, and I left, you know, and experienced life, you know, had all these ups and downs and runarounds, and then I finally came back home and discovered everything I ever wanted was, you know, there at the beginning. That's actually what it feels like musically too, you know. For me, it's just like, you know, I've had all these different types of music in my head. But, you know, for a long time, I just wanted to play balls out, aggressive, heavy music. After a while, I wanted to play the other styles of music that are in my head. And I went, you know, and learned a bunch of different types of guitar styles. And maybe I put out an electric blues album, you know, like something like, you know, Jeff Beck did with Truth, you know, just get a guy who fucking overplays on bass, get a heavy drummer, and fucking play a bunch of blues tracks, you know. Gibson's there for me. And I feel like I've come back around, and I'm just a better person for it. And I have just that much more to offer now.
40 years into this thing now, how much fun are you having today doing it as opposed to when you were a kid?
You know, people ask me this question these days, and it's interesting because my answer is a lot different from my peers. You know, a lot of my peers are like, you know, it's a lot of work, you know, it's not what it used to be. And, you know, it's like I've made terms, you know, I've come to terms with this or that. You know, for me, it's like I fucking started playing guitar yesterday. I'm so curious still about it. I still see that there's so much to learn. I've come to a point where, you know, I can sit down and play a guitar solo, and it's what is an accurate representation of how I'm feeling inside. When I was only playing for like 24 months, I was playing a clink, clunk, 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 but in my mind it sounded, you know, like Jimi Hendrix or something. Nowadays, when I play a guitar solo, it's an accurate representation of how I feel inside. This guitar was a part of the very first batch of vintage instruments I ever bought in 1989. You know, I told you that story about Pete and showing up, and this guitar just like got my attention for a variety of reasons. In that, you know, I love black guitars, and
Everybody's
I knew about this model, and so I'd never seen a black one. And then when I saw this one, I was like, yes,
black, double guards, star inlays.
yes,
Sign me up.
it has everything that you want on an Everly Brothers guitar. And man, it's sweet sounding. You know, it's just like,
Like, what percentage of your collection is acoustics?
I would say 15%.
Yeah.
You know, because I again, you know, I latch onto the acoustic and I play that. I'll play it like friggin' forever.
Yeah.
And so this is like one of my mainstays. I have a J145 that I love, and then I have this crazy Gibson custom shop acoustic that was made about 15 years ago by a woman. It's called the Wolf guitar. She made one of three from the Montana shop. But between the Wolf guitar, the J145, and this, those are the acoustics I play the most, you know. Gibson acoustic guitars sound like they have more compression than any of the other acoustic guitar makers, more so than Martin, or, you know, more so than Fender or Takamine or any of the other builders. Gibson acoustics have a certain sound to me. It's consistently there, and I don't hear that with other makers. And so, you know, there are a lot of amazing acoustic guitar makers out there, but I've just always gravitated to Gibson acoustics, and
You can't get cooler.
and you know, it's like
the coolest acoustic guitar of all time.
yeah, I love it for just sitting around and strumming, you know, just having a good mellow time. This is the guitar, man. It is so fucking great, you know. And I love acoustic necks, you know, the shorter scale, you know. It doesn't demand that much, you know. So, yeah.
Perfect size.
Yeah.
Not too big, not
Yeah.
big jumbo, but just the perfect.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah. Yeah, it's a great one.
Well, dude, hell of a day. That was literally a career highlight for me, seeing some of those and getting to hear the stories. I really want to thank you.
I literally can talk about guitars forever.
I kind of do it for a living.
Yeah.
It never gets old.
I always have something more to say about guitars, especially guitars that I own too. That's why that's why we're here, is because of guitars. So, you know,
Maybe
the beautiful thing.
a couple more years and do a part two.
Yeah.
All new stuff.
Well, you know, I do have a few more guitars that I still need to show you guys.
I just let 2 or 3 more that
I mean, seriously, I do have a few more that we haven't even got to yet. So
yeah, I'll go to HQ sometime and just go down the rack.
So,
dude, thank you so much
thank
for doing
you,
this.
man.
Thank you guys for watching. Kirk Hammett, I'm Mark Agnesi for Gibson TV. We'll see you guys next time on another episode of The Collection. Peace.